Hello, everyone. Welcome to Relatable Stories. I'm your host, Angeline Miriro Gahadza, and I'm very excited today to come to you with the third episode of the divorce series, Life After Divorce, with my friends Rumbizai and Kevin, just to unpack again about what actually is happening in our lives now that we are divorced and those things that nobody ever talks about. For those that are joining us for the first time, Relatable Stories is a show about cultivating self love. We share our personal, relatable stories that help each and every person to identify the areas in which that they have to grow in terms of self love. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest onto the show so that they can say hello to you. Hi, Rumbizai.
Hi Angie, how are you today?
I'm awesome. I'm happy. I'm happy to have you back here. Hi, Kev.
Hey, Ange. Hi, Rumbi.
Hi
How's
Gamu.
how's been your day?
It's been good. Not
Nice.
sure you guys.
No, we awesome. We awesome. We awesome. So here we are again. I mean, some people have not met you guys yet, so I'm just gonna do a quick roundup of introductions. I know Gamu, you don't know how to do introductions.
I
You
don't know
and
how
me
many
are
times I've been on this show, but I still don't know how to introduce myself.
now. Let's do it again. Let's do it again for those that have joined us for the first time. Rumbi, you're going first. Tell us about you.
Hi, my name is Rumbidzai Mutendera, mother of two, a 13-year-old and a 6-year-old daughters. Yes, I've got just princesses in the house.
Oh.
Since we are here to talk about divorce, let me just put it out there. I've been divorced for 6 years now, and I'm a counselor by profession. I am a founder of Uplifted Sister, co-founder of Uplifted Sister, and I am a founder of Heart to Heart Sanctuary. And well, I've just started what now a Christian boutique. We make these. So, hello. What else? Yeah, I'm just me, friendly, talkative. I think. Yeah, I think that's what I can say for now.
Nice to meet you, Rubidzai. We love you. Glad, very glad and honored to have you on the show. Miss Tim Zanenamo, it's your turn now to introduce yourself to everybody.
you know.
Mhm.
All right. So, my name is Kevin Gamchila Mzaninamu. Um, Unlike Rumbi, I really don't know how the time frame, but yeah, I've been divorced. and um, because for us it was a journey between the actual saying that we want to get divorced and then getting the paperwork started and then actually getting it finalized. So yeah, there's like three different time frames to that. But yeah, that's about it. Father of two, like I said. um, Smart young man, Yamkela Kevin Jr., and then little Zolani the princess. Yep, father of two, third born in a family of five. I always like telling the story this way. I've got an older brother and an older sister. Then I came about, disrupted the order. Then there were two boys and one girl. Then my parents tried to balance out the equation, bring in another girl. Then God says, "Okay, I'll give you two." So they're twins after me. So I'm sure after that, my parents decided we're not trying again, lest we have triplets of boys. So yeah, that's basically my story and how I introduce myself. Founder of Volks Academy. Yep, we also have a page on Facebook and IG. And yep, you see, like I promised you the last time, I'm going to come with
Mhm.
that has got more or less like a message for what we're going through. So it takes faith to step away from the ordinary or from the familiar. So
Oh,
yep, that's
wow. That is so cool. I really like that one. You know, green is my favorite color, so you've got to hook me up. Thank you
will
very
do.
much, guys. Amazing, amazing. You're amazing people. I know you're doing a lot for the community, and I know that you've had your fair share of pain through experiences, and especially the experience of divorce. and it is not easy for us to talk about it before we heal. But I think we are able now to talk about it and to share the experience with the rest of the world about how we managed to get there. And it's
Yeah.
so, I'm very grateful that you're willing to do that, because I mean, I feel like if I had known, it's not like it would change anything, but I would be more prepared
Yeah.
for what's coming, right? So to introduce myself also, because I'm feeling FOMO, I'm I'm Angie, co-founder of Uplifted Sister. We founded Uplifted Sister with Rumbi and Chipo Wacha. Uplifted Sister is an organization just created to get women together to work together as a pack to uplift each other and to speak up and speak out about issues that are affecting us. But I also started the self love coaching platform for everyone, women and men who are looking to grow on a personal level, to do the inner work and to find themselves really, and become those kind of humans that can fly. So yeah, today this topic that we're talking about is what actually brought us here back to the to relatable stories, because after going through my divorce, going through the healing journey, I felt that there's so many stories that we are not sharing, and stories that deserve a platform. And here we are talking about the story of divorce. And I'm going to go straight into it. And Gamu, you're going to be the first one today.
Look at
First
me
one
this
today.
morning.
How is life after divorce? Can you say you're miserable? Or can you say you're happier? Can you just describe it? How is life after divorce?
I think for me during the process, it was very miserable. Like I said in the other sessions before, that for me it was a different maybe setting or a different exit to the marriage for me, because I was the one still doing the chasing of the relationship and trying to make it work when the other person had checked out.
Right.
So having to then learn when to let go was not the easiest of things to do. So that whole process, I mean, it took me quite a while, because I think it was a whole 3 year process. And those 3 years, trust me, they were not the most comfortable, because obviously there's the issue of them going to see the kids and things like that, and you still have to meet up with this person. So that whole process for me, it wasn't as comfortable. But with time, you then learn to let go, and you then learn to start moving on and starting to see and hear other people. Because when you're in that phase, you really don't see yourself as wanting to eat and entertain anybody, or you don't see yourself as wanting to see anyone, type of thing. So I think it's been a journey, and I am happy. That's one thing that I can really say, because I've managed to move away from the hurt and the pain of, the process of letting go. So to answer your question, yes, I am happy, but it was not an easy journey to the happiness or to the smile. It took a lot. It took a lot.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's other things that we will go deeper into in the
Yeah,
but the general feeling is you're happy now, but
yeah,
it took you a while to get to happy. What
extremely.
are
Yeah.
you feeling? What is going on? How's life after divorce?
Okay. My turn. Okay. I think it's good that I've been divorced for 6 years. It makes it easy to explain whether I'm happy or not.
Right.
So, the first year and a half, right after divorce, I wasn't happy. It was the hardest time of my life, I would say that. I was a new
Mm.
mom. I got divorced when I was pregnant. I think I mentioned this in the other session that we had. So, I later gave birth to my youngest child alone without the dad around. So it was very hard, just having a child in the world, and they don't know, dad is not there.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so also in the first and a half year, I kind of had hope. I was waiting. I wanted a miracle. So there was no getting better because I was just stuck in the same position, hoping that, things will, restore, there will be restoration.
Mm.
Then the second part of it, of that journey, I told myself that I was happy. I lied to myself that I was happy. I faked it. So yeah, everyone thought I was happy. I looked very happy. And now, this 1.5 year that we are in now, I am so happy. So very happy that I've been since the divorce. Yeah. I'm living my best life.
Well, I it's best that I went last because I think you didn't all of your phases because I got from I got from divorce to living my best life. I don't know what's coming what's coming. But to be honest with you, I'm living my best life. However, it's not to say there aren't things that I had not anticipated or I was that are easy to maneuver. And I think those are the kind of things that we want to unpack right now because whether you come out of it happy, feeling like, oh, prison break, or you come out of there, it's like doomsday, oh my God, this is the end of my life. We all still have to go through the same stigma and the same experiences in society that no one else can understand but the people that have the status of divorcee. Did you ever think of it, guys, that your status, even though you're calling yourself single right now, isn't actually single?
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
It's
Nope,
not. But we
it's not.
expect it, isn't it? We kind of expect the world or the people, the guys in the dating pool, our dating pools to look at us as single people. But our status is not single.
Funny enough, I've actually preferred divorce to single. Well, I
Right.
think for women it's kind of different because for me it would explain a few things without me going all out with my story. So I didn't want, and I know this was in my head, I didn't want people to look at me and see me as someone who just went out there and got pregnant like twice without
Right.
getting married. So if I introduce myself as being single, that will be the idea. That will be like, oh, okay, she's single and she's got two kids. Because wherever I am, I'm talking about my kids. If you're on
Right.
my social media, my kids are all over the place. And so I didn't want to be called single. I would correct people if they say, are you single? I said, no, I'm divorced. Sort of like, I don't want you to judge me by this.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I actually prefer to be called divorced than single because then I don't have to explain my children. It then explains itself that, okay, so these are the children from the divorce. So yeah.
And do you prefer single to divorced?
It. I don't think we as guys we have that much pressure as you guys.
Yeah.
Trying to then differentiate. Because look, after time when we go through these processes, the kids are always going to be with the mom. So I'm sure she has to do most of the explaining as to I only then pick them up, during holidays and stuff like that. So
You're
it's a
back to
different
single.
it's like it's a different picture for me altogether. So yeah,
Oh
for the
my
guys,
God.
I don't think it's that much of an issue.
But when okay, I'm gonna probe that. But then when it comes to like now you go out there as a single person and like yeah, you start dating, but you would still need to explain that you've got kids. Um
Yeah.
does that is that a difficult conversation for guys as it is for women, or it's for you a breeze? Like okay, there's kids out there, I've got kids. Because for us it's like when do we start talking about it? When do I tell this person that I'm divorced?
Okay. So I think with the guys as well, especially when you now have to talk about the kids, that's when you also have to bring in that whole explanation about the divorce part of it, because like Rumbi is saying, you might have this whole stigma going around that, oh, okay, he's just one of those guys that's just going around and making babies all over the place and then
Yeah,
just
yeah,
leaving them out there. But you now have to kind of like explain that, yeah, I, as much as I am alone right now, I was married before and I have two kids that are there already. So, but I don't think with guys we really have to go in depth as to, trying to explain that whole notion of, yeah, I was divorced and then I've got kids. I really hate this, but yeah, it's just expected of guys to have kids here, there, and it's not really a major issue as opposed to if a lady is to say, "Oh yeah, I've got two different baby daddies, or I've got three different baby daddies." That's it. It says something else about her. But if it's a guy that's saying it, most people think like, "Oh, okay, life goes on." So I think it's a bit of a different case when people are handling the ladies as opposed to the guys.
Hey, that's brutal. Rumbi, I respect you for deciding to say divorced is my status. It's easier for me. For me, the divorce status is actually very difficult for me because I feel like I'm like people have stayed together, cohabited for longer than I was married, guys.
Oh yeah.
Like
I give you something.
I'm like, why do I now have to carry this status of divorce when I actually also didn't even have to sign anything? Like, because we also just did the lobola, and
Yeah,
we hadn't gotten up to the stage of having a white wedding and signing anything. So the dissolution of the divorce is also different from yours, Kev, where you have to go
yeah,
through process and whatever. So
yeah.
for me, owning that status of divorce is very difficult because what it comes with, I feel like that's unfair, guys. My boyfriend, for like a
Yeah,
year and 4 months, and I would like for to be treated like a single person. But then this is where I want to come into and explain why. Because for me, if I'm not single, if I'm divorced, people, I feel, going back into the dating world, the guys out there are going to look at me thinking, why are you divorced? So
yeah.
instead of getting to know me first, they want to know my story first. So my story becomes the first thing that we
The
deal
first thing that you guys talk about.
with. Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I'll start with you, Rumbi. How has that been? Do people look at you differently, or address you differently from what you were in 8 years, though? Like, okay, let's just let you answer the question.
Okay, so as you have probably like seen, my stories are quite different, hey. So I don't have a lot of dating stories after divorce. I kind of just, oh, Angie, you know this. I kind of just dated one guy after the divorce, and I did not have any explanations to do. Like I said, my kids are always out there. Like I think for the longest time, I might have used them as a shield, because I know also when you have kids, single guys who don't have children, it's such a turn off for most of them if you have kids. So me not wanting to have people in my space, the first thing I'll tell any guy who does approach me is that I've got kids. I've got two children, and that would actually just drive some people away. So I used that actually as some protection
This
around
is
me.
the reason.
Yes. So you'd find that I would introduce myself as, "Hi, I am my so and so," or you can call me Rumbi. Like I would straight up put it out there. So if you
Yeah,
wanna act like you like me or whatever, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. So even
yeah.
the guy that I dated then after divorce, it was more like we actually kind of got along because he liked my kids more. So I did not
Right.
have that awkward what is your story? What, like, it was, yeah. So my it's kind of different for me. I think what makes I was listening to you when you're talking about how people want to know your story before they know you. I think it's actually different for someone who's divorced and doesn't have children and someone who's divorced and has children, because
Right.
they look at us differently. They already have their own understandings, like, okay, you got out too quickly before you had kids. What is wrong with this woman? And for me,
Yeah.
they're like, you had the audacity of leaving the father of your kids. What is wrong with that woman?
Mm,
So there
Mm.
is
yeah.
always different stories to our statuses, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gamu, dating world, any different nuances in the way that you are now having to deal with the ladies, or it's the same for you? It's like I'm the one doing the chasing, so I chase whoever I want.
It's crazy because obviously the dynamics of where you spend your time, kind of like also has an influence as to what happens and how your life and your journey after that kind of like pulls through.
Right.
So obviously in the workspace, you get to meet a lot of people. Everybody gets to know you as a person, this happy person that's always, all over the place, always smiling, always there for people. I'm a people's person. That's the
Right.
thing. So obviously, when you then now get to those issues where people want to know, okay, so what's going on with this guy? So obviously, when you started off, it's more like, yeah, I'm married, and then you get to a point in time where there's silence, and then people are kind of wondering, okay, what's going on? And then you get to the point where you then are out there and say, you know what, yeah, I finally finalized my divorce, and everyone's looking like, whoa, how did you just? And the questions now are, how is it that someone like you would end up getting divorced? And I'm thinking, I
Yeah.
am human as much as you are,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have a lot of those questions, but we don't understand how would somebody like you end up, being divorced. And then now you have to get into the crunch of everything. What happened? What was the process? How
Yeah.
did you then end up getting there? And then now for the guys, it's a bit tricky. Trust me, because this is where your discipline as an individual comes to play.
Right.
Because remember, these people have known you as this people's person, and you are committed to your marriage,
Right.
and they now know you as somebody who's divorced for
Mm-hmm.
some weird reason. That is just a what you call it, a magnet on its own. You've got
Oh,
enough people come. Yeah, trust me. You've got enough people coming into your inbox and all of that, but it takes a lot of discipline for you to then say, you know what, I don't think I have healed enough to allow myself to get into a relationship with anybody. So you then have to go through that process of healing. But if you don't,
so
uh,
so
you know,
so the dynamic for guys is like chick magnet.
Mhm.
you see
Like
now.
what kind of a woman would leave this guy? Like,
You see, like I really want to find out. So it's not, it's more like I want to find out what exactly is up with this guy. Is he what
right,
he says he is he what we see him to be? But why is it that
right.
somebody left this guy type of thing? I don't know what that is all about. But yeah, it becomes a bit tricky after that. And you then have to know how to carry yourself and be
Otherwise,
able to say,
you'll be everyone's man.
you'll be everybody's man. You will have a lot of more heartbreaks. You break a lot more hearts outside there, and you also damaging yourself in the process because once you have dealt with an issue of coming to divorce, there are a lot of walls that come up.
Right.
Mm.
That even when you then want to start dating, it's difficult because you've got these walls around your heart and around your emotions that a lot of people have to now navigate around for them to get through to you, the real person. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are some of the things that will then obviously break a little bit more into.
Okay. Um, Gamo, would you say that as a divorced man, you've got a specific type of woman that you're looking for now, that is different from what you would have looked for if you didn't have children? Why I'm asking this is because, as an example now, there's
Mhm.
certain people in my life that are now looking at me and thinking, oh, well, you can do good by just looking for an older guy or a guy who was also married before or who has children. And I'm like, but why has my dating pool changed? Because I'm still
Yes.
young. I'm younger than some people that have never been married. I
Yeah.
don't have children. Why is my dating pool that now that I have a status of divorce, now
Mhm.
the guys that are also divorced or have children or are older? Does that change for men as well, or specifically has that changed for you in terms of what you're now looking or expecting from a woman?
Um, okay, because now there are kids involved. That for me, that's the only technical bit that then plays a huge part to say if I'm to be with this person, will they be somebody that will then take on my kids as their own?
Right.
Mm.
Because for me, it won't make sense to end up with somebody that does not want or does not like my kids. It's not going to work, you know. So yes, that for me brings in a different dynamic altogether as to who am I going to date, and how do we carry on from building a relation. As much as you and I can get along, but it's different from somebody who's putting in effort, and the kids are the ones that are like, we don't like you, you're not our mommy. It's different, as
Yeah.
opposed to somebody that when you turn away, they're looking at your kids and like, don't worry, your dad is gonna go away just now, type of thing. But if there's somebody that is putting effort in, getting to know your kids, love your kids, and want to see your kids grow to be better people, then yeah, for me, that's the only dynamic that comes into play. The type of woman or the person that I would want to date or that I would date never changes, because
Right.
I'm still the same person. I think I'm even a bit wiser than I was before, because I've learned a lot from the mistakes that I've made. So I think it's in my own space, I'm saying I've been refined to be better for the type of woman that I've wanted before.
Okay. 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 All right. That is so interesting and so easy for guys. I think it's not easy for us. It's not easy for me. Guys in the audience, I would like to engage you. You probably are divorced or not divorced, but if you're divorced, what challenges are you having in the dating world? If you're not divorced, what are you looking for from a divorced person? What are the questions that you would want to us to
Mm,
answer? So what makes you curious and what makes you uneasy about the status that we have? Because for me, it's interesting to just understand from everybody's thoughts why it is that they feel it's different when they're approaching Angeline than when they're approaching Angeline 2 years ago. Now,
yeah,
Angeline now and Angeline 2 years ago, because definitely it's different.
yeah.
Rumbi, I know your dating experience is very limited from even before you got married the first time. Dating is just not for you. But one thing that I know could have affected you is like the social dynamics after, before and after, in terms of friends, in terms of the crowd, people you hang out with. Did anything change? Did anything negative happen after the divorce in terms of your social dynamics?
Yes, a lot changed. But I just wanted to touch on what you said earlier first. As much as my dating experience is not that big, you know, at something like when Gamo was speaking, I was just thinking about something that could have maybe affected my dating had I pursued the dating, or had I been desperate enough to date. I remember one or two guys that showed some type of interest in me, and because I've always put it out there that I've got kids, it's the first thing that I tell anyone. And
Right.
okay, fine, let's talk. First week, second week, we're all fine. Oh, Rumbi seems interesting and whatnot. Then for some reason, like Gamu said, divorce kind of makes you wiser. Like, you know what? I don't have time to waste. What do you want from me? What do you expect from me? Yes, we're not getting married tonight or tomorrow, but where are we going? So
Mm,
we'll start talking about, like, okay, suppose we get married. What's the picture like? I've always wanted to know that because I've got two little people to think about. And this one
Yeah.
person will be like, so yeah, we'll definitely stay together, but your kids will stay with your mom. I'm like, why?
mm,
Like, no, because we need to have, our space, our honeymoon phase. I need to have my wife, like, just a wife, not a mom. So kind of like I'm marrying a wife, not a mom. So if you're going to say a week after our honeymoon, you're moving in with your kids, that's me jumping right into fatherhood without. And I'm like, no, but this is what you're interested in. I made this clear from the. So you find that there are guys like that. And the sad part is I've actually read stories about women who then agree to that. It's like, oh, okay, fine. We can get married. I'll keep my kids at my mom's or whatever. Or we will not even tell my family that you have kids. So someone like Rumbi, I really like you. You're an amazing person. But for my mom to know that I'm interested in a divorced person who has kids, how can we work around that? And I just feel like that kind of also just made me, be more selective and not want to just put myself out there. Because I felt that was mean. There
Yeah.
is nothing like what Gamu just said. Like, no, you said that, Angie, that nothing has changed about me. I'm still the same woman. I'm still whatever, whatever. And just because I've got children, it doesn't change the kind of person that I am. So that also affect. I think that's another reason why I was like, you know what? Let me just stay indoors. Whoever is gonna find me is gonna work some magic and find me indoors. And
How
yeah,
are they
it
gonna
happened.
find you on your couch?
I
And I'm also trying to understand that. I'm like,
Netflixing on your couch.
okay.
it was
All
a
right.
tricky situation. But
I,
anyway, to your question for me, right, about social dynamics and everything. So I haven't been married for 8 years. We kind of had our friends,
right.
couple of friends. So
Yeah.
when divorce happened, those people, for some reason, I don't know if it happens to every other woman out there, they chose the other part. I don't know if it's because my ex had a different story to tell, or I don't know, or maybe they felt like I gave up too soon, or I did not understand. I don't know. And I did not want to find out. So they kind of left me hanging. There are a few that I thought, you know what, maybe this couple likes me for who I am. They kind of know me as a person. But as time went on, I then realized, no, these people are just putting up with me. Because when I looked back, I realized that I do most of the visiting because I'm lonely, I'm sad. Sometimes I reach out to
Yeah.
friends. I don't want to be alone. Then I
Yeah.
was like, no, man, I'm always going to look for these people, but they know I'm in a bad space. They never really take time to check on me. I realized that I was forcing it. So I lost
Mm.
people that I thought were friends. Okay, they were our friends and they had to pick a side. Unfortunately, they did not pick me. And even when it comes to church, I just feel like there was just a certain people in church. People are very nice. They don't say it in your face, but sometimes you feel it. And I'm glad that God has allowed me to be part of church leadership now, and this is something that I'm so passionate about that I want to change. You find that I don't. There's this unsaid stigma that goes into church. Oh, she can't lead because she's divorced. Or what can she tell the youth? She can't be a youth leader. She's divorced. What is she going to tell the people? But I've
Yeah.
been fortunate enough now that in this space and the church that I'm in, they've gone beyond looking into somebody's status and said, you know what, she's a person, she's a child of God, she's got this gift. Let's run with it. But yeah,
Magic.
society does that. And because of Heart to Heart Sanctuary and the counseling thing, I've met a lot of women who have said, my family does not consult me anymore when it comes to making decisions. They overlook me because I'm divorced. If there is a gathering at home and whatever is being planned, because I'm a returned soldier, people don't just run things by me. So it's rough out there. Yeah.
I mean, come on, like I hear you, Rumbi, and you're so right in the sense that, especially for women, Gamu, you've also alluded to this fact that society is more brutal on the woman. Most more so because I think we were supposed to be the guys that shingirira and things. This feminist culture, the patriarchal system supporters, are very
Mm.
much opposed to feminism, and they think the only reason why women are divorcing is because they're being rebellious and not actually paying attention to the teachings of the elders that make sure that homes are not broken. But at the same time, there is gender-based violence, emotional abuse, physical abuse, a lot of things that, if you really think about it, your own daughter, your own sister, you do not want them to continue to be in that situation.
That's it.
However, when it comes to looking at Rumbi, who's a neighbor or a friend, it's easy for you to pass judgment and just decide, just because she's divorced, she didn't do things well, where
Mm.
she could have just been a victim of abuse and she
Yeah.
didn't have a choice. There are times where Rumbi was an adulteress, and and she made the wrong choice. But then, how are you to know what the story is? Should we be wearing placards in our faces to say, "Oh no, my divorce was beyond my control," so
Yeah.
that people can treat me
Wasn't my
with
fault.
Just treat you better.
I mean, and also we do not want to point blame anyway. Why, if anybody can change from I was a thief, I'm no longer a thief, or I used to gossip, I'm no longer a gossip. why does divorce hold so much stigma in our communities in such a way that we are treated, or as divorcees, as pariahs, or anything that is outside respectable. So I really, really want the viewers to engage us, because looking at us right now, if we didn't tell you we're divorced, we'll be like eligible bachelors and and all of that. But going out there and saying I'm divorced, a lot of people are like, okay, never mind. Tainted. I really want to hear from you guys in the audience. What are you curious about? What turns you off about a person who's divorced? What is the thing that that you think about, without even thinking too deeply, that make you judge a divorced person? While we're waiting for them, Gamu, tell us about your social dynamics, things that have changed for you since the divorce.
Um,
It's just become a magnet.
I think maybe just to answer in general, just based on the last 2 points that you've raised, I think the one thing that everybody is quick to allude to when they're thinking about somebody that's been divorced is there were issues of infidelity.
Right.
So that's if you've noticed, I don't know how many times you guys have gone through this, where you say to somebody that I'm divorced, and the first question they ask you is, "What have you done?" or "What did you do?"
Yes.
You see, it's because there always has to be something that causes it. So now their first thing is, I need to know what was it that caused you to leave the other. Then I'll decide, should I or should I not. So yeah, I think for me, I can only answer that on a general basis, because personally I have not really seen any change. um like I said, because of where I am or where I hang around or the people that I hang around, it's more or less the same people that I've been hanging around with, because from the time that I came back to SA, the whole marriage thing was still in a trial phase to see if can we fix this, can we not. But maybe my situation would have been different, yeah, had I been back home where we have everybody around us. Or when it comes to friends, I've kept quite a number of mutual friends. Some of them have fallen off because
There.
they've decided
It's
to
easy for guys, James. It's
they've,
easy for
it's
guys.
it's not easy, because
Why
like
it's easy? I'm
I'm telling
dismissing
you,
you guys.
like what
Let
Rumbi was
them.
like what Rumbi was saying, there are certain people that you look at, certain people that you think, you know what, these guys, they like me for who I am, as an
Right.
individual. But then for some reason, like we are saying, we don't know what the other person goes on to say or how they tell their story. Are they telling
Right.
it the same way that we're telling it, where we're saying, you know what, I'd rather talk from this is what I did not get right? Or are they talking from da, 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 da? We don't know. So
Yeah.
that then also depends, or that I think that also gives everybody else that we're looking at to say, who do they then decide to stick to? Because they'll probably stick with the person that's been hurt the most, or the person that they feel has been hurt the most. That's the one they want to be there with. So if they feel like, okay, you're the problem, you're out, they leave you. So yeah, there are certain people that I looked at it and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I really did not see this coming. You leaving, or you giving up on our friendship.
Yeah.
But there's certain people that have stuck with me, or they've stuck by me, just to find out how are you as a person, and they've supported me all the way, even with, the side hustles and stuff like that. They've been
Yeah.
there, they've just been supportive. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into
To
it.
be honest, I'm just gonna say it's easier for men. It sounds easier for men. However, I do believe that there is subtle things that you might not be able to actually see, things that are said in the closed doors, behind closed doors, that you guys don't hear. Why
Yeah.
I say this, because I had an experience with a friend, a close friend of mine, that I actually would have never thought was having any negative thoughts about me getting divorced, because it's a person that knew everything, every intimate detail of my journey, right? But when we had a fallout, they made it a point to remind me that they had to shield me, or they had to make. In fact, they were saying that they had to take a choice, or they had to make a choice, a tough choice, to back me up when society was going to look at me differently. Do you get what I mean? So so I think at this point in time, I didn't realize the support that I was getting from them was actually support that was difficult for them. And because we had a fallout, they
Oh yeah.
eventually were able to say to me, you know what, I actually did you a solid. And for me, it was like, excuse me, you know exactly what I was going through. You have first-hand information, so you should probably, in my opinion, understand where
Yeah.
I'm coming from. And so to assign blame or even stigma on me, that
Yeah.
would that would be weird. So there's people that might come and feign support, but deep down in their minds, or at the back of their minds, they're still judging you for making such a choice. Like, why would you allow your wife to go? Or yeah, Rumbi.
Yeah. No, I actually just wanted to agree with you and say that, at times there are just people also who want to hear the other side of the story. People will find, like, will be looking at you thinking, oh, this is an interesting movie. Okay, so he said that. Let's go and just visit her and hear what she has to say. And
Right.
I think these people are also just gossipers. They are ready to put your stories out there and mix it however they feel like it. So I also had to make a decision, because you kind of notice things when somebody brings you stories from the other end and say, oh yeah, so we're with him last weekend and he said this and this about you. How could you do that? They're kind of putting you in a trap to say negative things about the other person so they can
Yeah.
again take the negative comments back to the other person. So I also had to be like, you know what? I don't want to hear how he is doing or what he's saying about me. This thing is done. So
Yeah.
I just have to leave it there. So for me, it was more like I was left with friends that I came with into the marriage, or
Okay.
friends that I made whilst I was in the marriage. The ones that we met together, or the ones that he kind of brought in, when your husband is friends with some guy and then you befriend the wife, those ones were quick to go, like, okay. And besides that, there are some people that I was not even friends with, but we just stayed in the same street. They just started distancing themselves from me. For some reason, I was no longer just welcome at their houses for Christmas parties, Christmas brides, because I was that only single lady amongst their men. I mean, they were there, but for some reason, I feel like, oh, we have this single woman and our men are here, but you are there. What am I going to do whilst you are there? So you feel that what, I'm just forcing things here. The invites stop coming, and I think I got, if I'm correct, I might have kept just two friends. Yeah, but I met those friends myself anyway. But the rest are my NGs and my chipos, ladies who were already single. Those people understood me better. So even society, the lady that you can borrow salt from, you can't just knock at their door anymore. If they are not there and the Mr. Chimuti opens the door and the neighbor says Rumbi was there and you're not there and your husband was there, I don't know. We automatically become husband stealers. You're divorced, so you're probably after somebody else's man. Period.
Yeah.
That's all people see. If you're going to sit in church next to a married guy and the wife is not there, the next thing you'll be like, oh, how was church? I heard you were sitting next to Baba Chakut. You know? So
Ah,
society,
as if I'm in that space in my life to even want
church
someone
for
else.
crying out loud.
No, Rumbi, that's painful. I mean, I didn't experience that. We didn't have a lot of couple friends, but I feel like Gamu, maybe you can look into it. Maybe you should look into it. The
Yeah.
friends the Rumbis and the Chipos of the world, before
Yeah.
you go through a situation, you might think you're on the same page about a lot of things, right? But they might have strong beliefs about divorce not being something that they believe in, right? So it could be a cheapo who now decides, even though I've been walking this journey with you, Ange, but you've made the decision to divorce and I don't, it just doesn't
I
sit
won't be
well with me.
associated
So
with
she
you.
Yeah.
might, yeah, so she might want to continue to be friends with you, but something about her beliefs is also saying to her, now I'm associated with a divorcee, and now that's going to make me look bad. And even if she does and she's pretending to, she expects, or like I said, in the situation of my other friend, I feel like I would have been indebted to her for even doing me the solid to just can continue to hang out with me, just because we were friends before. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have such dynamics in the men's world, where there's strong beliefs about you don't divorce, you don't become single after you have had kids.
The thing is, I think our generation is totally different. Maybe had it been, or was I part of an older generation, it would have been an issue where everybody's pushing you to say, you know what, dude, come on. You guys have been there 7 years, 8 years. You guys have covered a whole lot of time together. You've got two kids. You know, I'm sure the pressure would have come from there. But with our generation,
Yeah.
I think we're more quick to support each other in saying, look, whatever you want to do or whatever you feel is best for you, I will stick with you through that. Some guys will then sit with you and say, okay, this is the advice that we can give you. Pick up what you want to do. But like we were saying, you've got your core friends, those that will stick with you through thick and thin, and then there are those that will then disappear because of the situation. Fortunately for me, I've had, or I think most of my friends, my ride or die friends that I've had the greater part of my life, they have all stuck around. I have not lost anyone because of that, but maybe because I don't know. It's the bond that we've had over the years. Because some of them have been friends with them ever since we're like kids, primary school going kids type of thing. So we've been through life together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, they're prone to stick around. But people that you've met later in life, yeah, then obviously you might have those differences where what they feel is more stronger than sticking out for you as a friend.
Do you know what I'm trying? I'm going to say,
Mhm.
um, you as a guy,
Yeah.
I'm finding few issues with divorce right now. So I want to actually just, instead of me using my own experiences and Rumbi's experiences that she's already told
Yep.
me, to ask you, what
Mhm.
are the problems? Do you actually even have any issues after divorce? Because okay, so here's one.
Um,
I know the girls are flocking, and that could, if you're not disciplined, that could mess you up. I also
yep.
heard I also heard the one about the divorce settlement, or all of that process being
The
lengthy
process.
and taxing and all of
Yep.
that. Nobody tells you about that. You think divorce is just let's go and sign. It could
Okay. Yeah.
drag on. It could drag on, and that is painful. Okay,
Yeah.
I heard that. What else?
There is, like I said, the pain of then opening yourself up to anybody else. You will probably not see a good person when they come before you because, especially, I don't know. For me, I take it very deeply because when I commit, I've committed. That's me. So
Right.
now, when you then try to break out of that, or when you try to move on away from that, trusting somebody else becomes a whole lot. It's a different ball game altogether after such a situation has happened. Because maybe from where I'm looking at it is because if you had a situation of infidelity, then you would probably say, "Yeah, I had a reason of walking away." But you're coming from a situation where it's circumstances and life that's just happening that causes you
Yeah.
to drift apart, right?
Yeah.
And it's not an issue of love running out or you not feeling the other person, but it's because of situation circumstances that then drives you apart, and it then becomes unbearable, and then you decide, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. So I think that is the one thing that causes my situation to be a bit different from everybody else. And a few other people might be able to to liken their story to mine. But that doesn't take away the fact that you still have to go through life and you still have to um, go to the next person, try and win them over, try and prove yourself. Because now it's an issue of now proving yourself to say, you know what, as much as I have a failed marriage before me, I am still a person and I've gotten better. So that becomes another ballgame altogether, proving yourself to other people. But now, do you know what the biggest issue is? Proving to yourself that you're okay to go on and trust the next person.
Okay. Before I go to Rumbi, because I know Rumbi will want to just add on to that, like getting to love again. Do
Yeah.
we feel that there's more weight to failed marriage than there is weight to failed relationship? Because when I say relationship, I'm including marriage, but
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times where stigma is concerned, if I said I
Mm-hmm.
have a 5-year-old failed relationship,
Yeah.
it's still lighter than me saying I have a 1-year failed marriage.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's different weights in that, and why is that? Ruby, let's answer that first, and then let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about how loving somebody and opening up your heart again to try this thing of love and commitment again is.
Okay. So I think that there is much more weight to a failed marriage because there is commitment involved. There was this whole process of bringing the family together, involving other people. Whereas if we are just going to be dating or cohabitating for 5 years, we don't really have a commitment. So yeah, so when we fell on that, it's like, oh, okay, that didn't work, let's try something else. Whereas with marriage, we made a commitment, we had our vows, we had families involved. So it's more like you're letting down or you have failed a whole family, two families actually. Whereas when it's just a relationship, it was just you and me. It's as if you're actually reading my mind because I just wrote something down now. This was more like on what Gamu was, what we were saying about Gamu, that it's easy. It seems easier for guys. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is because for some reason the society and the culture has conditioned ladies to make us believe or see marriage as an achievement. The pressure is not so much on the guys than it is on the women. So
Right.
we are more prone to be stigmatized because we, in the eyes of the society, we failed. The man does not fail. It's just like how have you had people when they say, oh yeah, so when a man cheats, it happens, you guys need to get over it and work things out. But if a woman cheats, there is no second thoughts, there is nothing. She is
Yeah.
shamed, she's sent back to your house. And this is probably, say, in a scenario where the husband has been cheating like for years, and then the
Yeah.
woman is just caught once and it's a whole big thing. For some reason, I feel like society has put the burden of marriage on the woman. If it goes bad, she did something wrong. If it goes bad, she did not understand enough. So, as much as we think that, okay, it might be easier in terms of dealing with society and everything, I understand the heartache is the same, the disappointment, or even some other internal things might be the same because we're equally human. But for some reason, society expects us to make marriages work, even if the other person is not working in it. We are expected to find ways to make the men work in that marriage. And
Yeah.
that's just, yeah, that's too much on us. Yeah.
Okay. Rumbi, I love what you've just said here, and I want to probe, but I'd asked you another question that I think I might forget to ask you again in terms of learning to love again. So
Okay.
so definitely where society is concerned, they really look at women differently, and I want to ask the audience, so that we can just get answers at the end. Would the guys out there, would you marry a divorced woman, kids or not? And is that solely your decision? Do you think it's solely your decision, or it's dependent on what your people say? Because
Right.
I feel like there's a point where Igamu will be like, ah, Angie's still Ange, she's single, and like, yeah, I could marry her. But the fact that she was married, now to tell his mom, the mom will be like, do you get what I mean? But anyway, that's for the audience. In our last closing remarks, Rumbi, tell us about how learning to love again, how that process works, and those scars. Is it difficult for you to get into new relationships, to date again?
Okay. So I think that it's really difficult to love again if you're genuinely looking into like real love. But if you're just going to be reckless about it, in and out, you might think that, you know what, now that I'm free, I can date whoever I want and I can do whatever I want. But if you are
Right.
being intentional about your next relationship and you're looking to maybe be committed to someone else, it's really hard, because I strongly believe that whatever experiences have happened to us, divorce or not, they
Mhm.
scar us in some type of way. It
Yeah.
affects how we are, how we act, how we react to the same person. I'll give you an example of this. For someone who has been left, right? Say a woman who has been left or cheated on and the person left, they will constantly be on the alert that the next partner is going to cheat on me. So even when the other person is not cheating, they're always going to be looking for signs, because the last
Right.
time when it happened, it kind of caught her by surprise. So now she doesn't want to be caught off guard. She's gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna be right in there. I'm gonna be looking for signs. I'm gonna be going through his phone. I'm gonna be checking that, is he at work when he says he's at work? Is he at Tino's place or Peter's place when he says he's there? You
Yeah.
might be doing this unconsciously because something happened to you and you just, reacting to your past. And for some it's more like, I've often, I noticed this, some of us, we come across as very independent women. We're out there looking after our children, doing ABCD alone. It's good to the world, like, oh, this woman is strong. But for
Yeah.
some, it's actually a result of what happened to her. She doesn't trust anyone else to help her. Hence, she's taking up all the duties by herself. She won't even let anyone else try to help her, because she told herself that once I do that, the next person is going to disappoint me. Or once I let this person promise me that, I'll help you with this for the unforeseeable future or whatever, they're just gonna walk out, and I don't want any surprises. So no, thank you. I'm just gonna guard all my, and you're prepared to leave. You might even have a side nyana account on the side for when he finally leaves, because I've been left before, so I might be left again. So that makes it hard for a genuine next guy who's just coming in wanting to love you and you're acting all closed up. So yeah, it's not easy. It takes so much work.
Yeah, and Gamo, your side, what's your take? You did mention and allude to the fact that your walls are up there,
Mm.
your vulnerability, because when you loved hard, or when
Yeah.
you love hard. So
Yeah.
having to even know that you were hurt that much makes creates a fear of, when I love again that way, that could still happen. Is that also happening with you? Have there been any situations or any specific things that you've done that you, when you look at now, you think, you know what, that was extra. There's no need for me to be putting that on somebody else who has nothing to do with my past.
Yeah, quite a lot. Um, when people want to spend time with you, they genuinely trying to ask you, so how are you doing? What's happening? And you're just thinking to yourself, okay, I'm trying to see how long is this going to last. And
Mhm.
even when you then decide that, okay, I need to get to know this person, I want to spend time with this person, you spend more time getting to know them than you are opening yourself up to them,
Right.
because you don't want them to get to a certain part, because that's the scary bit. If I let you go to that part of my heart,
Mm.
what then happens when you decide to walk out?
Right.
And you're
Exactly.
now relieving to say, okay, I don't want to even, get to that stage where I have to relive that process again. So when you kind of like get to know someone, when you kind of like get to start to build something with anybody, you are more or less, if I can now use this word, you're more or less loving them from a distance, or you're keeping them at arm's length, to say, okay, at least if you stay here, I can still see you.
Yeah.
If you're about to turn and go away, I can see you turning and going away. Rather than if I bring you up close and you're walking side by side, if you're going to make a U-turn and go back, it's going to hurt the next time I look at and you're not there. So it's more like, let me keep you in a safe distance where I can see you, where all your actions, I can scrutinize them before they hit me, type of
Yeah.
thing.
And you're
So
depriving them of the love that they also deserve from you,
you see now,
right?
because now they're looking at it, but thinking, I'm putting all the effort, I'm opening up to you. I just want to get to know you as a person. I
Right.
want to know you. What hurts you? What I'm thinking, no, I don't want to tell you about what hurts me. Why do you want to know what hurts me? Type of thing. So it becomes very difficult. You don't open up or you don't talk about everything as much as it is. You scrape the surfaces of what's going on in all the different areas. So even if you're uncomfortable with something, you'll probably like tolerate it for a whole lot more or a bit longer because I just don't want to start fights. I've had enough fights about these issues. I've opened up to somebody else and yeah, thanks, Ruby. So it's one of those things where these walls they're difficult, especially if they're emotional walls. They are difficult to then break down and allow somebody else to be in that space. But it takes a lot of work, and if you do find somebody that is worth it, at some point in time you'll realize that this person is worth it, and you'll start taking them bit down by one. Hopefully, they will be patient enough to wait for you.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say, if you're not ready to date these people, don't do it, because I feel like we are punishing people
yeah,
for sins of our past lives that have nothing to do with them. And so,
yeah,
before we get to the point where we are ready to actually be as vulnerable as we were in the first relationship, I think we should not even do it to begin with. I'm going to be candid about my specific issue that I've seen now is that because I'm coming from an abusive situation where I felt like I didn't realize I was being controlled, and then I ended up seeing that I was. Um, I'm sort of looking at every little thing. I'm like, you're trying to control me. So so I remember this one time feeling very upset with them. The guy was just being nice to me, and he was asking me if I'd eaten. I should be more. I should be more because I don't eat much, guys. I don't like as a yeah. I don't really like cooking and whatever. So anyway, he was just asking me the general questions where like, oh, you should eat and whatever. Show me your food and that. And I actually got upset. I got upset that why are you trying to come into my life and try and tell me what time I should eat and make me accountable to you? That is controlling. But then I then later thought about it and realized that it's not about this particular guy. This was feelings about me being controlled in my past relationship, and so now I'm looking for any signs of anyone being controlling, and even the subtle things that could mean nothing for me means something. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate again that there's a lot of and learning that we need to do, with a lot of self-discovery that we need to do. But some of these things also cannot happen when we're sitting in our couches and watching Netflix. we kind of do
mm,
we kind of do need to date, and dating in itself is not commitment, right? It is getting to know people, and in that space there's no, if a person feels like you're too close, that's fine, but they should also know where you're coming from. You're open with them, and so you can see where you stand so that you know whether you're ready or not. um I want to read what the comments that we have now. Someone says victims of the past. I think it's something to do with something we were discussing earlier.
okay.
Um, we are victims of the past, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? Um, and someone else says our African community is grounded on some beliefs, values, and norms pertaining to marriage, which we need to reevaluate. Divorce, marrying a single mom are things shunned upon. Why? The new generation is now protesting, and the culture is changing slowly.
Mm.
Um, I mean, yes, yes, yes. Comments, Ruby?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that I'm yet to see it. I'm yet to see it, but I think things are changing slowly. But yeah, what I've found easier though in the stories that I've heard or the people that I've sat down with is that mostly in our African setup, people who might actually be more understand. Let's say parents or families that would might actually be more understanding are those that maybe were also raised by a single mom. So you meet a guy who was raised by a single mom, and if he's to take me to his mom is bound to be more understanding about the whole
Right.
situation because she has been in my shoes and all that. But you know what? People are people. You find that some people will also get married into families where maybe they are divorced sisters, the taters in there. But for some reason, it just seems like your divorce is different from theirs because now you're
Yes.
marrying a brother. So
Mm.
yeah, I hope and pray that one day we'll just, get to a point where we appreciate and accept a person for who they are. When you were speaking right now, I was just thinking that, you know what, we just need to be honest about it. We are not easy people to love. And yeah, we're not easy people to love. We've been hurt. We act some type of way sometimes because of where we've been. And it's
Yeah.
not that it's not for us, it's not a bad thing. We're just trying to protect ourselves. So if somebody is out there and is interested in dating or marrying a single or divorced person, you need to have patience. You need to know me for who I am. You need to
Yeah.
understand that on some days I'm gonna freak out if I don't hear from you for 4 hours, because in my past I kind of had someone disappear from me right under my nose and I didn't notice it. So I might just
Yeah.
get in a panic mode. Where are you? What are you doing? Not because I don't trust you, but it's the whole fear of, oh my God, I'm gonna lose him again. I'm gonna lose him again. What must I do? Sometimes we might come across as if we are smoothering you, but all we are trying to do is to hold you closer because, well, the previous person that I was with, kind of slipped away from me. So yeah, we acknowledge that we are not easy to love. There is a lot of things that you need to understand about us, but we are worth it, I guess. We come with
I'm
experience.
easy to love, Rumbi. Stop saying that I'm not easy to love.
You were just speaking up about your eating times a few minutes ago. You are not easy.
You know?
So definitely, no, no, no. It's definitely a work in progress, and I think a whole lot of people in the community that are also going through what we're going through need to acknowledge or accept that.
You know what? I just thought of something. Sorry. I just thought that
God,
no, you know what? We all have our stories, divorced or not divorced. It's just that our story is right out there. Because I'm thinking now, dating a single person who has been in a traumatic relationship, she was never married, but she was abused in some type of relationship that she had. She might have been raped, she might have been violated in some type of way. They're just as complicated as we are, but our
yeah,
issue is kind of made big, or even ourselves, we make it big because for some we have a tabloid somewhere that says been there, done that. Other
yeah,
people can
yeah,
decide not to tell their stories, they just hide it away and you will never
exactly.
know. Mhm.
Exactly. Okay. That was a good rude interruption, Rumbi. Don't worry. Kev, do you think we are hard to love? Do you think that we are difficult people to love? Or just like what Rumbi has said, it's we are the targets for people that are hard to love, but we are just the same? Because I personally think that we are just the same as other broken people. It's just that our story is put forward before we even have a chance to explain or to find ourselves, etc.
I think we become easier to love once we realize, or once we have faced up with ourselves.
Okay.
So if I'm still in my hurting process and if I have not yet dealt with that process or that part of me, I become very difficult to love because I'm still projecting what I had in my past onto you, right? And I'm not saying just because you've said it or just because we've spoken about it, when we are then faced with the situation, it becomes easy or it doesn't exist. So they now has to be an issue of patience from the other person. So we
Okay.
need to, from the word go, speak about the walls that are up. Say, you know what? This is what's been happening. This is where I've come from with my
Mhm.
journey.
Okay.
And it has caused me to become this kind of a person, right? So, as much as I am bubbly, as much as I am this, there are certain things that are triggers for me.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the moment I let you know, you're going to be conscious when you're doing certain things with me or for me, right? If you then still cross that path after I've told you about it, then I get worried. And when I
Yeah.
then react, you then can't then get shocked to say, but where is this coming from?
That's why you're divorced.
You see, now they're going to be pointing me, that's why you're divorced. But I have already told you that, you know what, for me, this is a trigger. This hurt me
Yeah.
in this way, and I can't handle it, right? So it takes one, patience from the other person. Number two, let's talk about the walls that we have built. And like you were saying as well, Ange, let's only start dating when you're ready to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you have not healed, you're going to bleed on the next person.
Sure.
And they would definitely not understand what is going on because they don't know where this bleeding is coming from.
Yeah.
So if you're going to then be open about it, look, if you decide to date whilst you're still bleeding, at least get them to see the wound. Okay, this is what happened. This is what's going on. If I stretch like this, I probably reopen the wound again and it starts bleeding and I need to patch it up. They know, okay, when the person starts bleeding, I need to help them patch it up. And they know how to handle you because they
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from. Now it's
Yeah.
different from I just jump into that relationship, figure out what's going on with me. You disappear for me on me for 4 hours. I blow my top and try to figure out, okay, what is happening. Now it only takes maybe for it to happen two, three more times for you to understand, oh, okay, it's because I have not spoken to her for 4 hours. So every time I do that, this is what happens. But now they're now going on a fact-finding mission on their own. But the question is, are they patient enough to last that long? And would
Yeah.
they be able to tolerate all of this for that long? So yeah, those are things that I really say we're not difficult, but if we're there, we're now there to say, I'm now ready to open up. But I still have to let you know what caused me to leave the other person or for the other person to leave me so that we know exactly where we're going with this ball game.
Yes, Gamu, you pose a difficult task for me because I wanted to be able to hold my cards till I felt like it was necessary for me to open up like that. Like, okay, for example, I
Mhm.
don't have to tell a guy on the first few dates that I'm divorced. I felt that I didn't have to,
Okay.
because well, there's no kids and everything, right? But at the same time, if I don't tell them, then they will
Mhm.
not be able to understand some of my walls or some triggers that I may not have been able to deal with or understand yet, right? Gamu, you want to respond to that?
So look, there's certain things that obviously you're not going to unload your bag on the first day. Trust me, they will run every other time you open and unload that bag, everything at the same time. So it's a
This is
process
so
thing.
crazy.
You know, it's a process. It's a process thing. Even as a guy, let me in on these things bit by bit. Prioritize what I need to know right now and run me into some of these things. Now, you can't then come and give me 101,000 things to say, I don't like this. This is what happened. Da, 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 da. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, do I really want to, you know? Can I get to know Ange first?
Right.
As it's just who she is. And then from there, you're now going to then let me know, you know what, dude, when you do this, or maybe when certain things happen, let's say the whole example that Ruby brought in, where first 4 hours go and nobody says, this guy hasn't found you. So with time, you're talking about it. Yeah, how are you? You checking on them. I don't know. Maybe you get the conversation started after 4 hours. Or they then respond because they were busy. Then they see their phone, the message comes in, then they respond to you. In the time where it is not a heated debate or something has not gone wrong, it can be a teaching moment to say, you know what? I looked for you for 4 hours. After 4 hours, or rather, I looked for you because I noticed that, there was like a whole 4 hour gap and you hadn't even said hi or even checked in on me. It gets me kind of uncomfortable because, you know, this is probably what happened in the past, or there's something that we can always talk about. I'll tell you what triggers my worry when you don't talk to me after 4 hours.
Yeah.
Now, it's not an issue that is now being brought up where there's a heated debate, and now you have to start explaining to me after we're in a heated debate. I'm trying to think, okay, are you really telling me who you are, or this is now an excuse to cover up for why you're blowing up?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
certain things gradually get your person to know you to say, hey, you know what? I know you want me to tell you that I love you after every 2 minutes. Or if I leave the room, I come back, you want me to tell you I love you. Or if I'm to stand up and go to the bathroom, I'm supposed to kiss you to say goodbye. When I come from the bathroom, I'm supposed to kiss you and say, hi, I'm back. That's their dynamic. That's what they
Just
want.
like somebody went to the bathroom and never came back.
They went to buy bread and, something happened. They then, met somebody else. But gradually bring them into it. So, you know what? This is what I prefer. This is what talks to me. This is what probably gets me off my rails and gets me worried. And I'm sure because they are interested in Eng and getting to know Rumbi, they will now start valuing those things. And trust me, it's something that will not come overnight, especially when it comes to saying things as a guy. Those things come with time. Personally, if there's certain things that I have to learn, because I'll tell you one thing. Fun fact. Previous, I was one of those people that would literally just say it at any time. I love this person. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I would post it up and tell everybody. And that was me. And I thought that works. But in their eyes, it was like, why you, just relax. Yeah.
Sit down.
And then you get to meet somebody who wants to be all over the show. Like, yeah, every little thing, let's post it. Let's, bring it out there. I'm like, but
Love languages.
yeah. So you then have to start learning, okay, what does my person prefer? What rubs them off the wrong way? What do I tell them now? And most of the thing, I really beg people, when you want to talk about stuff or when you want to say something that you don't like, please say it when it's a fun environment. Oh yeah, fun fact, babe, I don't like this, or this rubs me off the wrong way. It's easier to be received that way rather than when you're now in a heated debate and now I'm thinking, okay, why are you bringing up this issue? We were talking about the other, which is why we say women, we talk about one thing, women want to bring up 5 other issues.
I will. Men do that also.
Okay.
Anyway, I was gonna say, fun fact,
Okay.
babe. After 3 months of dating, I'm divorced. I feel like that's difficult.
I think okay. So like we say, like we established earlier, my dating experience is blah. But I feel like if I'm gonna be dating a divorced guy, I think I want him to tell me on the first date. At least that. You can
Yeah,
keep the other stuff, the other pains and the triggers and whatnot. But at
yeah.
least that, like that's how I introduce myself. Hi,
Mm,
like I said earlier, hi, I am my so and so Rumbi. Yeah, and if whenever I say, I've got kids, so the follow-up question will be like, so where's their dad? Like, oh yeah, we got divorced some years back, and that's it. Because in as much as maybe for me it might not be a big thing that you are divorced, I just feel like, why did you hold that back? Why weren't you upfront about that? It's unfortunate that it is what happened to us. I don't know if I can say this, but it's who we are. We are divorced people. So it's more like those Jiripo, I'm divorced. You like me or you don't like me. You don't wanna. I think it would hurt me more if somebody. Actually, I think it kind of did at some point when this guy told me, "Oh, I didn't know you had kids." I'm like, so like I like you, but now you have
not
kids.
because of the kids. Hi.
Yeah, for me, I would rather just let you know if you're gonna be interested, be interested. If you're gonna run, dude, run after the first date. We didn't waste each other's time. I did not start liking you in some type of way. So I think that
Yeah.
unfortunately that status we need to put it out there. Then we see if we can, understand each other or proceed from there on.
Okay, that is actually my take as well. But I've already seen that. Yeah, like Gamoye said, there's guys that whenever you say that, it can actually make them see red, and then it doesn't allow them to actually get to know you. But then, I mean, come on, maybe those people are not good for you anyway. You don't want to waste your
They're
time
not.
having to
Yeah.
unpack and be vulnerable to a person who's going to run or feel uncomfortable with your situation anyway. So I think I like this post here. This comment says, culture is not static and evolves. Do not live in the past." This is someone shouting to everybody, and I would say the same thing too. If we could all realize that we make culture and culture doesn't make us, we have
Yeah.
to evolve and change things as things are changing, because back then our moms, our women used to stay in abusive relationships. Now people walk away. So men are being left divorced. So some men are being left divorced, even though it's easy for them. They're still going to be a whole, or like a number of people that are divorced. And so if they are in your age group and the people that you like, it shouldn't be something that deters you from being there or loving them. I've got another comment here. I have a question for you guys. When should relationship counseling start? When you are still dating, or once you're married, and why? So we'll start with you, Gamu. Tell us your response to that question. I think it's going to be one of the last questions that we answer today.
I think for me, I would say the earliest that you can. So if you guys can get your counseling whilst you're still dating, kudos to you guys. Because guess what? The same people that are counseling you during your dating phase, they already know exactly what you guys have been going through. They already know what you guys have worked over the last few months, years before you get married. So by the time you get into marriage, hopefully those same people will still be around to be able to then still counsel you. I think we leave it too late for this whole counseling, marriage counsel a week before your marriage. I don't really see that working, because at the end of the day, you're sitting in that counseling session, you're thinking about, okay, what has been bought, what's outstanding, who's coming, who says they're not coming, the bridal party, they're just being funny, people are supposed to be doing this, nothing is happening. So yeah, you are there, but you're not really there. But when you start having this counseling session way before, you guys are literally talking about what's going on in the relationship. And counseling also, I would say, can it not just be about things going wrong?
What
Can
to
you also
expect as
have
well.
sessions where you are expressing what's going right for you guys, and build a lot more on those things? And then, yes, talk about what's really not working at that point in time, and then make them as work in progress things. But I would really say, if you can get it before marriage, I would say go for it.
Rumbi.
Mike to the counselor, thank you.
Let's go.
Thank
Okay,
you.
let's go now. We are dismissed.
All right, cool. So I agree with Gamu totally. The sooner you can start, the better. But I'm not saying that meet your guy and a month into the relationship, like, dude, what do you think about counseling? So what I would say, as the counselor on the platform, is when there is an intention to marry, then you guys need to start counseling. And yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree that the longer you do it, the better for you guys. Don't leave it for last minute. Don't. Yeah, I like how this person did not even ask if we should be having counseling. I like that our generation is normalizing counseling. Long time ago, it used to be like a taboo. You don't speak about those things, and normally people would just go when the thing is broken already. So let's have a working system. We go for counseling, whether we are happy or whether we are sad. Because say we go for counseling, let's say every month, right? And this month we don't have any problems. We did not fight. We're good. Let's just go and celebrate that. Let's just go and maybe emphasize on the good things that we picked up in the month. And yeah, I've said this on a different platform that for some reason, for some of us, we are not moving with the times. We have also left premarital counseling before the white wedding. We've been loboloed for a whole year waiting for a wedding. And we're like, oh, now we need premarital counseling because we're having a white wedding, in 3 months. Dude, we've been married. We're already having marital, issues or whatever. So when there's an intention to marry, and by marry, we mean lobola, if you're African like me, when there's an intention for this guy to lobola you, start counseling. Let it just happen. We're all trying to figure this whole marriage thing out. We need help.
I couldn't agree more with you guys. I think premarital counseling is something that is being taken for granted. like Gamu said, even what you're saying, Rumbi, that it's reserved for white weddings and also it's reserved for just before the marriage. But there's a whole lot that we're supposed to be in those sessions that includes expectations that you would never have been able to know from your partner if you don't go through sort of like sessions with someone who's qualified to do that. Because I know we did it. We'd already lobolad, but we did it. Professionals like Ruby. But it was so great for me. For me, at
Mm.
least, my partner wasn't really keen on doing it in the beginning. But for me, it was so exciting because they were tackling things that we had never actually sat down to discuss. Even though we say discuss all these things that you're supposed to agree on before marriage, sometimes you say you do discuss it alone in passing. It is not as deep as when you have a counselor to help you with that, where you have to write down your expectations about marriage, about your in-laws, about black tax, about whatever it is, things that happen in marriage. So I'd say the sooner you can do counseling, the better. If you're dating without an intention of marrying, but you are committed, sometimes when you also have problems, I mean, because I make it a point to go for counseling for myself, right? Just as a safe space for me to understand my own feelings because I'm going through the self love journey.
Mhm.
I don't see a problem to do that with the person that you're working with. Whether you have decided you're going to get married or not, it could help you just understand each other better and decide if you want to be together or not. So the earlier the better. So yeah, I mean, we are on the same page. Whew, there's so many issues that go on after divorce. I would like to ask you guys for last words because it's already half past almost. And some of our guests are already not guests, our viewers are already leaving us here. It's just be the three of us in the next 10 minutes. So let's wrap it up. Agamu, last words.
um, so I think the first statement that I would say is there is life after divorce. It's not the end of the world. As much as we're not saying that statement to encourage people to then quit on what they could fight for, but we're saying for those that really have gotten to a point where they've tried everything that they can, they've exhausted everything that they can. Um, there is life after that. You can still uh, continue with life. You can still find somebody else that can be able to share their life with you as well. So it's something that we need to get to, and I totally love that comment to say get to a point where you acknowledge what you have done, what you have contributed. That's the only way that you can really release everything else. Because the moment you leave a marriage and you want to focus on what was done to you or what you think was done to you, because the other person probably didn't even intend it to be like that, the healing process starts when you start dealing with what you have done and
Mm,
picking out to say, how can I avoid doing it again? So, first of all, there is life, acknowledge where you have come from, and then prepare yourself to say, what can I do to be a better person from where I'm going? I think those are the few things that I would really want people that I would really want to part people with tonight to say, yep, that's my take.
thank you, Gamu. Counselor Rumbi.
Yes,
Counselor.
I was waiting for you to say that. Thank you very much.
Counselor Zai.
Anywho, so my last words, I want to say to those that are divorced and might be finding it hard to, settle or date again or love again. I just want to say that there is the right person for you out there. Don't be discouraged by the number of people who kind of want you to settle or want you to be some type of person that you're not. Those people that want you to hide your kids or whatever, never mind those people, let them go. There is you're a rib to some Adam out there, or Adam, your rib is out there. you will find your perfect person, but don't just rush it. Yeah, take your time. Heal first if you need to. If you're not willing to be vulnerable and be bleeding all over people, because also, for you to bleed over people, you gotta let them know what's really going on, and you don't wanna be letting Peter, John, Tim, whoever know all about your business. So yeah, join Angie in the self-love journey. Love yourself,
Yeah.
heal, and be honest about it. Be honest about who you are. Be honest about where you've been. If somebody's gonna love you out there, trust me, they're going to love you for being honest. If they cannot take the truth about you, they probably are not meant to be with you anyway. Yeah.
Ah, man, this counselor is so on point. Yes, yes, yes. So I think to wrap it up, I just wanted to say, as a diverse person, I'm living my best life. It was a very good decision for myself. I would have never found myself and become the person that I am today if I hadn't. However, some people have then had to regret it because no one ever talks about how life is difficult on the other side as well. What makes life difficult on the other side is the difference between loving yourself and being codependent. So if you are still struggling with being comfortable in your own skin, whatever the external is saying affects you in a very different way from a person who has self-love. So for example, I acknowledge that there's guys that are looking at me sideways, some of them that have dropped me like it's hot just because I'm divorced. Some are not happy about me being public about my story, etc. And that has hurt me a little bit, but it has never taken me to a place where I'm like, I regret it. Did you get what I mean? So
Yeah.
so we just wanted to have this show to enlighten you guys that there's still challenges after divorce. You just
Mm.
need to be able to make your conscious decision about what's your hard. Your hard in the marriage, or is your hard dealing with people that are judging you for making good decisions about or for yourself. So either way, it is not rosy because people will be people. However,
Mm.
what's rosy is what's in the heart. So let's all look at what we are doing about loving ourselves, about loving each other, about respecting each other. Now that you know that there's struggles like this, be nicer to the divorcees, be nicer to the guys that are going through the most, and try by all means to join forces with us to remove stigma that has no space in this new era, because this generation is about changing things, and we're having these conversations for a reason. We hope that they have changed your life, they will continue to change lives, and we hope that we have ignited a flame that will keep going for generations and generations to come, becoming survival guides for everybody. It was a pleasure to have you, Mr. Musa and Counselor Zai. You'll be back for the last episode of this series in 2 weeks time, to talk about collateral damage. It is one we are going to just be expanding on this very topic, because it is broad and there's different nuances to it. So for those that have been following us, please tune in again in 2 weeks time, where we'll wrap it up and tie a nice bow to this diverse series. Cheers, my friends.
Thank
Bye.
you.